Keen's journey started long before he set foot on campus. It started the day he opened his admission portal and saw the word congratulations. He blinked twice, 3 times, refreshed the page, then shouted so loudly that his mother dropped the tray she was carrying. "Oh, Keen, what is it?" she exclaimed. "Mummy, I got in?" He shouted, spinning around their small living room. "I'm now university boy." His father, usually a man of few words, smiled with pride and placed a hand on his shoulder. "University life." His father said quietly, "It will test you, but it will also shape you. Go there with sense." That was the first advice. More would follow. Aunts prayed for him. Uncles gave long lectures. Older cousins warned him about roommates, lecturers, food, girls, boys, cultists, night class, group work, and every other thing under the sun. He laughed at most of it, or so he thought. Campus looked like a living organism the day he arrived. Cars honked, parents argued with porters. Freshers dragged boxes that looked heavier than their destines. Shouting, running, sweating, a full dramatic production. Keen stepped out of the bus, stretched his back, and inhaled deeply. The air smelled like dust, future stress, cafeteria jollof, and possibilities. "Oh, so this is my new home," he muttered. He had barely taken 5 steps before someone bumped into him. "Bro, Abig, where is the student union building?" The stranger asked breathlessly. "My brother, I just reached," Keen answered. They laughed, the laugh of freshers who had already accepted confusion as their new lifestyle. Keen made his way to the registration point where the chaos was legendary. Queues twisted like snakes, announcements echoed. People argued about who came first. A girl in front of him fainted from heat.
A boy behind him was selling sachet water at business student prices. The campus was already teaching him lessons. "Carry your clearance form this way. Move, move, no blocking the entrance." The hostel porters shouted like they were controlling traffic in a crowded market. Keen clutched his file tightly, sweat dripping down his face. "Next," the porter barked. Keen stepped forward. "Name: Keen Obina. Department: Mass Communication. Level 100. The porter looked up briefly, then scribbled on a sheet, "Room D407. Keen smiled. Finally, a place to drop his load. He didn't know how important that room number would become. He didn't know that the porter had misread the list. He didn't know that fate had just rearranged his life without permission. He collected the key, thanked the porter, and walked toward Block D, feeling like he had just crossed the first checkpoint of adulthood. Block D was alive with noise. Music blasted. Girls gossiped in clusters. Seniors shouted from balconies. Someone was frying eggs with a stove inside the corridor even though the sign said no cooking inside hostel. Students laughed loudly, the type of laugh that only came when nobody was writing exams. Keen found the staircase and climbed slowly, exhausted. His arms ached from carrying his bags. His legs felt like boiled yam. D407. D407, he muttered. Finally, he reached the door. It was slightly open. He didn't think too much about it. He pushed it wider and stepped inside. What he saw first didn't seem strange. But something deep inside him, a tiny voice he ignored, whispered, "Wrong room." The room was dimly lit. Someone had turned the bulb to low wattage, or maybe it was just old. 3 beds were arranged neatly. One was clearly empty and untouched, sheets perfectly tucked, pillow untouched. Keen assumed it was his. A tall, dark-skinned guy sat on one bed, staring into a small mirror. He didn't blink, didn't react to Keen's entrance, didn't even acknowledge his presence. "Ah, hello," Keen said, raising a hand awkwardly. No response. Keen cleared his throat. "Bro, good evening." The guy slowly turned his head. Very slowly, his eyes met Keen's. He nodded once, just once, then looked away. Keen forced a smile. Another boy lay on the second bed, scrolling through his phone. He looked normal, too normal. Like he didn't belong in the same room as the silent statue of a roommate. "Guy, you be fresher?" the boy on the bed asked. "Yes," Keen replied, relieved to hear a friendly voice. "Welcome, my name not Tega. Don't worry, this hostel no too bad. You go adjust," Tega spoke casually, but Keen noticed something strange. He didn't have a single bag, no clothes, no bucket, nothing. Before Keen could process that, Tega stood up. Make I go fetch something for downstairs, he said. He stepped out. Keen blinked. He didn't hear footsteps. He didn't hear the door close. He didn't hear anything. Tega was gone. Just like that. The quiet roommate still hadn't moved. Keen slowly placed his bags on the third bed, the untouched one. By 10:30 p.m., the hostel was dark and buzzing with generator sounds. Keen lay down, exhausted. The quiet roommate hadn't said another word. Tega hadn't returned. Keen thought maybe he went clubbing or something. Seniors were unpredictable. He closed his eyes. And that was when he heard it. PSSSAST. He froze. PSSSSSST. He sat up slowly. Hello, he whispered. Silence. He lay back down. Then, don't sleep. Keen shot up again. His heart thumped in his chest. He looked around. The quiet roommate was still staring at the wall. Maybe he was dreaming. Maybe it was hostile noise. He lay down again, pulling his bedsheet close. Then, much closer this time, checked the mattress. Keen's entire body went cold. He slowly lifted his head and looked around. Still nothing. Still silence. But something compelled him, something he could not explain, to place his hand under the mattress. His fingers touched paper, a book, a diary. His breath caught in his throat. He pulled it out slowly. The cover was worn, edges torn, pages yellow. 4 words were written on the front. Don't trust the living. Keen's hands shook. Then he heard, I see you found it. He turned sharply. Tega was standing in the corner of the room. But Keen hadn't heard him enter. Again. Relax, guy, Tega said, laughing lightly. Now normal tin. That book. He stayed there since. Keen swallowed. But, who owns it? Person way stayed this room before, Tega said. Don't stress your head. Keen wanted to ask more, but Tega was already lying down like someone who had been there earlier. Like someone who had never left. Keen sighed and looked around the room. That was when he noticed the timetable on the wall. It listed days of the week, times, room schedules, activities, but no names. Just slots, empty spaces. He frowned. Why no names on the timetable? He asked quietly. The quiet roommate suddenly turned his head. Keen jumped. The silent guy stared at him. Then whispered, they left. The lights flickered. Keen didn't sleep that night. Not really. Every campus has rumors. But Block D's room 407 had something different. A myth. A story whispered only at night. A story seniors told jokingly but never fully explained. Years ago, a brilliant student lived in that room. A genius who left behind notes no one could fully understand. He was always stressed, always writing, always pacing. Until one night, he disappeared. No one knows if he ran away. No one knows if something happened to him. No one knows why his bed was left untouched for months, but students said the room remembered. And it didn't like new occupants, especially freshers. Keen woke up to loud banging on the door. Who locked this door? Open, open door. It was morning, bright morning. He sat up, eyes heavy from lack of sleep. Tega was gone again. The quiet roommate was dressing up calmly. Keen opened the door. 3 seniors stood there with buckets, towels, and annoyed faces. Who you be? The tallest one asked. Keen, the new roommate. The seniors exchanged confused glances. Roommate, of where? Room 407. The seniors burst into laughter, the type of laughter that didn't reach their eyes. Guy, now wrong room you day. Keen blinked, but Porter gave me this key. Which Porter? Show us. Keen checked his pocket, pulled out the key. It was labeled D409. His heart dropped. He looked back into the room. The quiet roommate was tying his shoelaces. Guy, one senior said, shaking his head. This room no get fresher since last session. Keen's skin prickled. He turned back to look at the quiet roommate again. But the bed was empty, completely empty. No sign anyone had slept there. No clothes, no shoes, no trace. The room was suddenly colder. The untouched bed remained untouched. The timetable remained blank. The diary sat beside Keen's pillow. The seniors stared at him. Why you day shake like leaf? One of them asked. Keen didn't answer. Because he couldn't. Keen's hands trembled as he held the diary. It was still there, still real, still heavy. Yet the room was empty, too empty, like the 2 boys he met the night before were never there. The seniors were tired of his shaky confusion. Oya, move jur, the tallest one said, stepping into the room. Nobody dey stay this room. One of them walked to the quiet roommate's bed and slapped the mattress. Dust flew up, thick dust that clearly hadn't been disturbed in weeks. Keen's heart dropped. Another senior opened the wardrobe. Empty. Completely empty. No clothes. No shoes. No deodorant. Nothing. When last una clean here? One of them asked. Last semester, the tallest replied. Before students travel, so how did Keen see someone there? Who slept on the bed he saw wrinkled? Who spoke to him? Why did the diary remain? Keen's throat tightened. Guy, the tallest senior said, looking at him closely. You sure say you dey alright? Keen nodded quickly, too quickly. Because the truth was, he didn't know anymore. His mind raced as they escorted him to the correct room, D409, where two excited freshers welcomed him with friendly chatter, the smell of new bedsheets, and the noise of students arguing down the hall. Normal life, real life. But Keen didn't feel normal, not anymore. Campus looked peaceful in the morning sunlight, but Keen's mind was anything but peaceful. He dragged himself toward the faculty building, forcing a smile whenever someone greeted him. He kept replaying the night in his head. The quiet boy who whispered, Tega who vanished silently. The timetable with no names, the untouched bed. The whisper, check the mattress. And the diary. He couldn't stop thinking about the diary. During registration at the department, his hands were so shaky the course advisor asked, You've not eaten? I'm fine, sir, Keen replied. He wasn't. At the student union area, music blasted from speakers. Vendors sold everything from data plans to snacks. Senior students teased freshers, girls took pictures, boys bragged loudly. Life continued as if nothing strange had happened, but silence followed Keen everywhere. It sat on his shoulder like a weight he could not lift. That evening, while his new roommates chatted happily, Keen quietly pulled out the diary. He flipped to the first page. It was written with neat handwriting, almost too neat. Entry 1. If anyone finds this, please understand. I was not imagining things. This room, it listens, it watches. And it remembers every person who sleeps here. Keen froze. He kept reading. Entry 4. My roommates are normal in the day. At night, they change. They disappear. They whisper things I wish I never heard. Entry after entry, the writer described strange events, lights flickering, footsteps that didn't match physical presence, voices that came from the walls. But something struck Keen the most. Entry 11. Tega is different. He pretends to be alive. Keen dropped the diary. Alive. Pretends. A chill ran down his spine. His roommates noticed his expression. You good? One of them asked. Why yeah, Keen lied. Just tired. He pushed the diary under his bed. But he couldn't push away the truth. Tega was mentioned in a diary written years ago. Before Keen was even admitted, by the next morning, hostile gossip had spread. Not about Keen, but about the room. A group of girls whispered as he passed. Is that not the boy that mistakenly slept in for 107? Chai, God save him. Hope he no see anything. Keen slowed down. Abbott calmed down, another girl said. Nothing day that room, nah old gist. But what of that boy that disappeared? Which one? The boy that used to stay there. What's his name again? Forget jur. Those things not just fresher stories. They laughed, but Keen didn't laugh. Because the diary writer existed, and the diary was in his bag, all text. Something inside Keen insisted. Go back. He ignored it all day, ignored it through lectures. Ignored it through a cafeteria meal that tasted like disappointment. Ignored it while trying to laugh with his roommates. But by evening, the pressure in his chest was too much. He found himself walking toward Block D again. He didn't want to, didn't choose to. But his feet moved like the ground was pulling him. He arrived at the corridor. Students were outside chatting loudly. But the closer he got to room 407, the quieter everything became. The air felt colder, the lights flickered. The door was slightly open again, exactly like the night he arrived. Keen pushed it slowly. The room was still empty. Still dusty, still cold. He stepped inside. A soft whisper brushed his ear. You came back. Keen spun around. Nobody. His heartbeat slammed in his chest. A shadow moved across the wall. Then Tega appeared, standing with his back turned. Like he had been waiting. Keen's voice cracked. Tega, Who are you? Tega turned slowly. His face calm. Too calm. I used to be like you, Tega said softly. A fresher, innocent, curious. What happened to you? Keen whispered. Tega stepped closer. I stayed too long in this room. Keen backed up until his shoulders hit the wall. Tega sat on the untouched bed, the one no one used. The one whispered about, this bed. Keen whispered. Tega nodded. It belonged to him. The one who wrote the diary. Keen's breath hitched. What happened to him? Tega looked down. He found out what the school was hiding. What? Tega raised his head. This hostel used to be a research center. Keen blinked in confusion. Research for what? Tega's eyes shifted to the timetable on the wall. For students with unusual behavior, Keen shivered. What kind of behavior? Sleepwalking. Night talking. Dissociation. Hearing things. Keen's mouth went dry. Like what I'm hearing. Yes, Tega said quietly. Keen shook his head. No, you're lying. This is some senior prank. This is some stupid fresher initiation thing. I'm not falling for it. Tega stood up slowly. I wish it was. Keen opened his mouth to respond, but froze. Because the quiet roommate, the boy who stared at the wall, appeared in the corner of the room. Not walked in, appeared, like he stepped out of the wall. Keen stumbled backward, terrified. The quiet boy said nothing, just stared. Tega pointed at the wall. Look. A photograph had appeared, old, dusty, with curled edges. It showed 4 boys. One of them was clearly Tega. Another was clearly the quiet roommate. A third boy, with tired eyes and messy hair, held the same diary Keen found. And the fourth stood half-faded, like the camera didn't fully capture him. Like something interfered. Who are they? Keen whispered. We were freshers, Tega said softly. Just like you. Keen's voice shook. And what happened? Tega looked at him with eyes that held centuries of exhaustion. We stayed in this room. Keen backed up toward the door, panic rising. I'm leaving. I'm not staying. I'm not listening to whatever this is. Tega sighed. You don't understand. That diary didn't appear in your bed by accident. The room chose you. I don't care, Keen snapped. The quiet roommate tilted his head. The room never makes mistakes, he whispered. Keen felt the world tilt. No, I'm not doing this. He grabbed the doorknob. Pulled. It didn't move. He pulled again. Still stuck. He banged on the door. Help, somebody help. No sound escaped. Like the room swallowed his voice, Tega placed a hand on his shoulder gently. Keen, calm down. We are not here to hurt you. Keen shook violently. You're dead, he whispered. You're both. You're not alive. Tega smiled subtly. I didn't say we were alive. Silence. Keen stopped breathing for a moment. Tega stepped back. Defa, we are memories trapped in this room. Echoes of students who broke under the weight of pressure. The school didn't want anyone to know. So they shut down the old research center and turned it into a hostel. The quiet roommate added, and those who enter unintentionally feel what we felt. Keen's heartbeat thundered. But why me? Tega looked at him with a softness that didn't feel ghostly. You're not weak. You're not cursed. You're simply someone the room believes can break the cycle. Keen's eyes filled with tears. I'm just a fresher. So were we, Tega whispered. The air thickened. The room darkened. A faint humming filled the space, vibrating through Keen's bones. The timetable on the wall began to shift, empty lines filling themselves with writing, not names, symptoms, isolation, insomnia, stress disorder, paranoia. Keen clutched his head. This can't be real. The quiet roommate whispered. It wasn't for us either. Keen fell to his knees, overwhelmed. Tega knelt beside him. You must leave before the room keeps you. Keen looked up, eyes wide. What? Tega pointed to the door. When you touched the diary, it accepted you. Now you must reject it. How? Say it out loud. Say what? Tega's voice was calm. The diary is not your burden. The room is not your story. You choose your path. Keen swallowed. Then gathered his remaining strength, and said, the diary is not my burden. The room is not my story. I choose my path. The room shook. The lights flickered violently. The photograph fell off the wall. Tega and the quiet roommate started fading. Tega whispered his final words. Live the life we couldn't. Darkness swallowed the room. Keen screamed, and everything went silent. Keen woke up on the corridor floor. Students were passing by normally, laughing, talking, shouting. Like nothing happened, he sat up abruptly. 500 to 407 stood before him. Closed, padlocked. A big sign was now on the door. This room is under maintenance, do not enter. Keen stared, breath trembling. A porter walked by. I, young man, hope you never enter this room. Oh. Nobody day stay here since years. Keen opened his mouth, closed it, stood up silently and walked back to Block D's staircase. His body felt heavy, his mind felt older. Something in him had changed forever. 4 days, Keen barely spoke. He attended classes, ate at the cafeteria, went to night class occasionally, but his roommates noticed he had a new look in his eyes, the look of someone who had seen what others didn't. One night, one of them asked, Keen, what really happened that first night? Keen stared at him for a long time, then said quietly, ask questions. Don't let senior students rush you. Don't enter places without understanding their history. And never think campus life is simple. His roommates exchanged glances. But they didn't understand. Nobody did. Keen visited the student union area one evening and watched freshers laughing excitedly. He smiled sadly. He was one of them just days ago. Now he felt like someone who had lived through semesters of experience in one night. Keen never went back to D407, never again. But sometimes, walking past Block D at night, he felt something, a faint whisper riding on the breeze. Live the life we couldn't. And he did. He studied hard, stayed focused, asked questions, avoided suspicious places, became the one who warned freshers about choosing rooms wisely, even though he never mentioned the real reason why. He carried the wisdom of the room everywhere. Not every open door is meant for you. One mistake can change your entire story. Campus is not just a school, it's a world of hidden histories. Some rooms have more memories than the students living in them. If you don't ask questions, you'll walk into someone else's trouble. And above all, curiosity is good. But wisdom is survival, the story of the missing student. It remained unsolved, the diary, gone. The roommates he met, shadows of the past, and Keen. He became the beginning of something, a new era of campus folktales. A storyteller with eyes that had seen what the living ignored. Because on his first night on campus, he entered the wrong room, and he never remained the same.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe to my channel.